Okay, hi again, everybody. So we're now on to the next topic in my email, and in bold there. And the topics here are the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and the CEWS is what they call it, CEWS, and the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, the CERB. I'm just going to say CEWS or CERB, so you know what I'm talking about instead of saying the whole thing each time. So here's the video, that link, and then under that, what you're going to see is, now remember, as I said before in a prior video, it's crucial that you guys try to educate yourself as much as you can on these things, because it starts to make more sense as you continue reading more items, right? Or it becomes a little bit more clear. I mean, well, as clear as it can, right? So remember, like I said before, though, we don't have all the answers. So if you're trying to get every answer, you just may not get the answer. Hopefully, the government will be releasing more details. They are all the time, and they are supposed to be releasing more details. So you may find that your particular circumstance, it is very difficult to answer the question or to know exactly how to answer the question. But what I'm going to say to you right now is read the attachments. What I have done is I've done a bunch of research online, or like I've done a bunch of reading, and I've tried to find articles or sources of information that I thought were pretty good, you know? And what I've done is I'm trying to sort of help you limit your need to have to fumble around, going around on the internet trying to find answers to some of these questions. Okay, what I'm trying to do is put it together here in a little package for you so that you could go through it and hopefully have some things that are useful. Now, what I've done here under this section in the email that you can see is I have attached, you can see various articles, see the attached documents, and they're actually attached in that email. And I've named the PDFs exactly what you see there, okay? So you can go and read the first one, read the second one, the third, the fourth, the fifth, okay? What I have done for those articles, I think at least 3 of them, I went through them even as well, and I've highlighted some things that I thought, reread that part or pay extra special attention to that part because it was important. And I think it sort of helps understand a little bit, or it seems like some of those things that I highlighted was answering some questions I found people had. Okay, so just go and read each of these attachments. That's why I put them here. That's, again, I think that the more we are reading them, the more some of the things are going to sink in, and we're able to help keep it straight. Think about when you were in college and you studied. Only a genius apparently reads something once and knows what they're doing, right? The average person has to read things, what is it, 3 or 4 times or something, and sometimes a mix of verbal, written, listening, all of those things help a person retain the information. So this is no different the way that I look at it. Read all these articles because it's going to continue to sink into you. Again, we've all got to take the initiative to read it ourselves and to try and educate ourselves. Like I said, if somebody just called me cold turkey and started asking me about what's available for them, their head is going to spin because it's going to be so confusing, and they're not going to know what the heck I am talking about. Actually, who knows if I'll even know what I'm talking about, because again, we don't know all the answers, right? But again, the point of me doing this is to help try and give you guys a streamlined sort of methodology to be able to look through it. And at least hopefully by looking at the previous videos, we've been able to whittle away some of the things that don't relate to you. So read these materials, and what I'm going to say is the 5th one on there, that was given to me from a client, and it was actually prepared by Harris Law. It's a law firm, law and advocacy firm, okay? And they did a pretty nice little summary. Now, when my client gave it to me, I didn't like the PDF it was in, because it was 7 pages long. Not that there was a ton of stuff on each page per se, but when you're trying to look at something that is in columnar format, it's basically showing you all of the different sort of wage or payroll related benefits and issues that are at hand right now, and that are falling under the subsidy things and the the benefit topics and stuff. And it sort of lays it out into like 7 columns, and it's really actually quite nicely done. And it's telling you, it's telling for each one, it's that, who is concerned about this? Is it the employer? Is it the employee? It's kind of laying things out there, and it's quite nicely done. Now, like I said, I didn't like the way the PDF was trying to look at it on the screen, because you're scrolling down, and then it's like, oh, well, gee, what column heading does this relate to again, right? So I literally went like this. I printed out the 7-page PDF, and I literally just cut the parts of the pages that had the information, and I taped them together. So now it's one nice big page, just one with all 7 columns, and you can follow it right down. And when I did that, boy, oh boy, it just made more sense to me, because now you can see the headings on the side here. This is the heading for this. This is a heading for this stuff. This is a heading for that stuff. Boy, oh boy, it sure helped me to follow it through. And now I can see the headings at the top as well to know what this down here is talking about. Oh, yeah, it's right there. It's just so much more visually easy to see. So, you know what? Don't be afraid. Go get some tape and scissors and cut it into pieces like this and make yourself one chart. And I'm telling you, this is a really great little resource. I really like this thing, actually. And again, it tells you about all these different things up there. I think I want to go through this one with you right now, actually. So what you're going to see, if you look at this this attachment, if you pull it up here, the number 5 there, Harris Workplace Law and Advocacy Summary Chart, that PDF. Let's look at this. So the first column here is the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. So let's just talk a little bit about this then, because this is one of the big ones that people seem to be having the questions of. What is it? A wage subsidy designed to help businesses and nonprofit organizations keep their employees despite significant losses in revenues. So again, the whole point of this thing is trying to encourage employers not to lay off their employees, okay? The amount, the government will contribute up to 75% of employees' salary on the first $58,700. So in other words, 75% of 58,700 is somewhere around 44,000, and 44,000 divided by 52 is $847 a week. Okay, so that's how they're getting that $847 a week. So the government will pay that amount. Okay, now keep in mind, we're going to talk about a couple other things below here that are important to understand. First of all, this wage subsidy is not law yet. It is not legislation. It still needs to be passed. So I think this makes a lot of people a little bit nervous, because there's a couple of things. Number one, it means you have to pay it and wait for your money back. I think that makes a lot of people nervous, because I think in the back of their mind, they're paranoid, thinking, well, what if I don't get the money back, right? What if they deny me for some reason, right? So I can understand that. That's probably going to make people paranoid, right? So, and there's some other conditions further down here we'll talk about. So the next heading on the left is duration. It's a maximum 3 months, March, April, and May. And the employer must apply each month. So every month you have to apply for it. Let's look at the next little heading below that in that column. On the left-hand side, the bolded writing, application process. And you can see it says right there in bold, complete details not yet revealed. We don't know the details. I do not know the details. So if you're going to ask me about applying for this, I'm not going to be able to tell you probably anything else than what is in here. Like I said before, if I find out anything further on this, or I can add any more information to, say, this chart right here, I will do another video and I will tell you, and I will try to explain it in the video, and then I will tell you to email me and ask me for the document. But again, remember, you also have access to the link for the website of the government that I gave you before at the beginning of this thing in the introduction. You should be going there and you can be checking this out and checking for updates. And there is a specific link within there that will talk about this benefit. Okay, now let's just continue reading this. The portal to apply for the subsidy will be available between the end of April to mid-May. And this again is why I've been trying to drill it into people's heads to register for a My Business account, because my understanding is that is how you will apply for it, is through your My Business account. And if you don't have it, you're going to be sorry, because you're going to be fumbling around trying to register and waiting 10 days. I believe that's how you apply for it. I think they might provide a different kind of portal. I'm not completely sure, but you just be ready for it is, I guess, my point. Don't sit around and wait to see. You should have the My Business account anyways. I'm not going to talk about that again. So continuing on here in this column, the business organization must, sorry, I'm getting a message here to do something on my computer. Okay, so the business organization must apply for the subsidy each month. This is important. Demonstrate that there was at least 30% decrease in revenue as compared to the month before in 2019. You've got to have a reduction in revenue of 30%. If you don't, this does not apply to you. So don't even look at it further. You've got to have the reduction. And I'm telling you right now, again, this whole application thing, I know businesses that their income just fluctuates. I don't know. It makes me wonder how they're going to do that, because people could purposely defer recognizing revenue or something like that. Trust me, they're not going to take kind to milking the system like that and manipulating the system. You better be able to show that you truly had a decrease in sales. And I think it's probably going to be pretty obvious for the businesses that have had decrease in sales. The next thing there is that the business has to attest, this is important too, the business has to attest that it is doing everything it can to pay the remaining 25% of the employee's salary. So remember, and I think this is something that can make people nervous too. Don't just think that you can go and apply for this and you get 75% of the employee's wages and that's all you have to pay. Again, this is what makes me nervous. It's like, well, how are they going to determine who can and who can't? I mean, obviously, clearly, if your revenues have gone down extremely significantly or completely gone, and you apply for this benefit, and it simply flows through you, so they pay you 75, you pay your employees 75% of their wage, and they in turn pay you that 75%. Sure, I mean, how could you top up the other 25%? But let me tell you, if you're a business and you have a whole whack of cash sitting there, it makes me wonder how you're going to argue with them to say you could not top up the 25%. I don't know if that's how they'll look at it. I don't know if that's how they're going to look at it. I repeat, I don't know if it'll just be based on the fact that you're not pulling an income and that's good enough, or your income significantly down, but just heed caution on that. And like it said in bold at the top, details are still to come. I do not know the full answers on that, but there's certainly a heck of a lot of questions that come of this. Okay, if you continue in this column, this first column, so employee eligibility, it's nothing to do with the employee eligibility. It's about the employer registering for this. It's about the employer keeping their employees on payroll. Okay, the employee doesn't have to do anything. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe other than the fact that maybe I would probably strongly suggest, I would imagine from a legal perspective, maybe you probably want to make sure you have agreements with your employees to say that they agree to this. I would guess. I don't know. I'm not an employment lawyer, but I would guess. So keep that in mind too. The next part down in this first column, employer eligibility. Again, you see in bold, complete details not yet revealed. All right, so available to, but it says available to businesses, nonprofit organizations, and charities, not available to public entities. Yeah. The business organization must have experienced at least a 30% decrease in revenue from the year before. Based on currently announced information, it would seem that the employer must pay its employees before the subsidy is received. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, so again, you got to pay it first and then apply for the subsidy. Okay, and hopefully you get it. So again, this is just something I can understand. It's going to make people nervous. I think the majority of people are going to say, well, why are we going to pay our employee? Just go collect your EI or go do it the way you're doing it until we have more time to figure this out and make sure we know what the heck is going on here, right? Now, and then the very bottom part here, the pros and the cons. I like this. It gives a little pro and con comparative analysis at the bottom. The pro, employment relationship is maintained, benefiting the employer and the employee. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. The cons, the employer must apply each month and seemingly must cover employees' salaries in advance of receiving the subsidy. Yeah, having to apply every month, pain in the butt. You're going to have to pay it before getting the subsidy. Can you do that? Do you have the money to do that? At this time, it is only available for 3 months when the impact of COVID-19 might be longer. Business or organization must have experienced, again, it's talking about 30%. So, the interesting thing about this this wage subsidy thing too is, it also, it raises the question, what if you are, what about your salary as the owner of your company and you take a salary from your company? Well, I read in one of those attachments that I attached there to this email, one of them talked about that there were going to be some special rules for that. Now, was it this one? Yes. Sorry. Yeah. There were going to be some special rules for people, non-arm's length persons, so people who are related to the company. So that would be you and family members. So, it sounds like if you're an employee, you're an employee. I haven't seen anything that says that you as a non-arm's length person with your corporation can't get it. It's interesting to note, though, because, how does this work for a self-employed person who's a proprietor who isn't a corporation that doesn't pay payroll to themselves because it just goes on your personal income tax return? Is there going to be a way for you to access this as well? And I honestly do not know. I mean, this sounds to me like it's about payroll. So if you don't have a payroll and you're not on a payroll, then it doesn't sound to me like you would be getting it because it's talking about employees of the organization. I think as a sole proprietor, you could get it for your employees because they're employees, but as a sole proprietor, you're not an employee of your own self, right? Whereas if somebody had a corporation, you are an employee because a corporation is a separate legal entity, right? So it's very interesting. I don't know. It's odd, because that doesn't seem fair, and it's just strange. But again, it's going to be limited to the same amounts if they do. But one of those articles, what I was going to say is one of those articles did mention, I'm quite certain, that more details will be coming to talk about in regards to that whole concept of you as an employee of your own corporation. So I feel like we're going to need to still see a couple of details on that. And I'm going to be keeping my eyes and ears peeled on that because I can guarantee many of my clients and lots of people are going to have that question for me. Well, how does that apply to me as an owner? I could get this too. I just don't know the exact answers to that. But I don't know, something seems a little bit odd to me with it. But, the way the government has really hit small businesses these past couple of years, I don't know, I could see something weird happening with that. Anyway, so if we go back to the top of this big chart and go to column number 2, column number 2 is temporary payroll subsidy. So this is the one that was originally released like a couple of weeks ago that they were talking about. So let's just see, what is it? The first topic on the left, the first square. A more broadly available payroll subsidy that provides a limited financial benefit on remittance to CRA. So this one here does not have, it's not a criteria based on if your sales go down or anything like that. It's just if you are paying a salary, then this is a one where you would take it out of your payroll remittance, your monthly payroll remittance for the payroll paid in that month, and you would just deduct it off of that, and somehow you would be disclosing that when you're doing your payroll remittance, or you'd have to keep track of it, right? So please keep track of that stuff if you're doing those kinds of things, because you need to keep track of it, okay? Because the employee, it still needs to show that they got all of their taxes taken off, right? Because it's not an employee thing. It's about a benefit for you. So if you go to the next box, it says the subsidy is equal to 10% of paid remuneration up to $13.75 per employee to a maximum of $25,000 per employee. That would be per year, okay? So again, it's equal to 10% of the person's salary. Now again, if you're trying to collect this for yourself, don't think that you can just suddenly increase your salary or anything like that. Well, it's maxed out anyway. It's 10% and it's only up to $1,375. So, and you had to have been on payroll, I'm pretty sure, when this happened. You couldn't just suddenly add yourself to payroll now. So if you weren't on payroll before, I think you're probably going to be out of luck. I'm not sure for certain on that. But now the duration is March 18th to June 19th. It says it right there. The application process. There is no need to apply for this. So the employer just continues to deduct income tax, CPP, and EI from the remuneration, from the wages paid to employees, where applicable, right? And you would just do the calculation. You would calculate. So let's say, for example, an employee's gross wage was $2,000 before you take off the taxes, okay? The subsidy that you would do would be 10% of the $2,000, so $200, okay, on that remittance, okay. So you would so if the gross salary is $2,000, let's say that you took off $500 of EI, CPP, and income tax to get $1,500. First of all, you cannot reduce the EI and the CPP. You still have to contribute those. You can only reduce the income tax that has been taken off the employee's salary, okay? So if the employee salary was $2,000, 10% of that would be $200. So you could take $200 out of the amount that you withheld of income tax from that employee's salary and reduce your remittance to the government by that amount and keep that amount. But again, keep in mind, the employee's T4 slip, everything, it's still going to show that they have the full amount deducted. All that's going to show is the same. And that's going to be reported. Basically, it's going to be income to you because you're keeping that money. It's going to be an income inclusion for you. Okay? So let's, again, back to this one. There is no need to apply. The employer continues to deduct those. Once a subsidy is calculated, the employer can reduce its current payroll remittance on federal, provincial, or territorial income tax that it sends to the CRA by the amount of the subsidy. I just talked about that. And then the end part in that box, the employer must continue to remit to CRA all CPP and EI premiums that it deducted from its employees. Like I said, you can't reduce the EI or CPP amounts, okay? So if we go down, employee eligibility, it's nothing to do with the employee applying for anything. This is, again, an employer thing. This is them trying to help small businesses. So these first two columns is about helping small businesses. I guess it's sort of actually helping employees too, I suppose. But the point is, these are things that small businesses need to do. All right, and then if we go down, employer eligibility. So here's some eligibility. An eligible employer can be an individual, so a proprietor, a partnership, a nonprofit organization, a registered charity, a Canadian-controlled private corporation. The employer must also have an existing business number and payroll program account with the CRA on March 18th. So it's not like you can go out and just suddenly apply for a payroll account number and think you're going to get this, because you won't. You had to have already had your payroll account number, and those people would have had to have also already been on payroll. Okay. Oh, actually, I don't know if people had to be on payroll before, but anyways, you had to have a payroll account number. Let's put it that way. Yeah, no, they probably would have had to have been on payroll. All right, and then it says in that box there, the employer must also have. Oh, I already said that in existing. Below that, it must have paid salary, wages, or bonuses or other remuneration to an employee during that time. So the pros and the cons at the bottom. The pro, the subsidy is broadly available to many employers. So it's not like you have to apply and register and satisfy criteria and show that your sales have dropped or anything. It's nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with your sales dropping. It's just a benefit that they're saying. If you pay people during this time and you're still paying wages, we're going to give you this subsidy of 10%. Okay. Sort of interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of intriguing why they would, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I kind of look at that and think it's a little strange, because there's some businesses that they're not even going to get they're not experiencing a decline in sales at all, but they're going to get this subsidy. It just sort of almost seems, it seems weird to me. It seems kind of silly. If a business doesn't need it, I don't know why they would get it. But you know what? If it's there, then it's there. And that's their issue for not thinking this through. It might be hard though. I mean, how there's so many different scenarios and stuff out there that, sometimes you just got to make a blanket policy, and maybe that's why it's like this. But anyway, so one of the cons is it's only available on remittance to CRA. The dollar value is also quite limited. All right, so if we go back to the top of this one and we go to column number 3, work sharing. I'm not actually going to get into that one. The work sharing, from my understanding, that's often to do with, I think, larger organizations. If I recall correctly, again, I think I mentioned before, I wasn't even familiar with what work sharing, what a work sharing program is, or work sharing arrangement is. I've never heard of it. I'm not a payroll expert. I don't focus on payroll stuff, so there's no reason for me to know that, because I don't have any clients that do that. But again, it's just something where if all the employees and the employer and Service Canada all come to an agreement whereby, rather than laying people off, all employees agree to take a lower salary or lower wages, and that way nobody else has to be laid off. Okay, that's all that is. If you're interested in it, then go talk to the government about it, because it would have to be an agreement between you, the employees, and them, Service Canada. So this is not something I'd be helping you with at all. Okay. And I think that's good enough. So go on to column number 4, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. Here is that one that we were talking about, another one of the ones that is a big topic. So let's read this. What is it? The CERB is a broadly available benefit to cover persons not working due to COVID. Like I said, you are not supposed to be working. You are not supposed to be making an income. I don't know how that relates to, I think somebody has asked me, how does that relate to if I'm collecting CPP or OAS? I don't know if that would offend it, because this is about working. This is about working. So I'm not completely sure of the answer to that. I have to be honest with you. But this is something you could ask the government for. I mean, you've got to apply for them through them anyways. And you know what? You're probably going to try to apply anyways. So if that threw you offside and you weren't qualified for it, they're going to tell you, right? But again, this is all about working, and this is about, are you making any income at all to be able to get this benefit from working, right? So I don't know if the fact that you collect some kind of benefits or something really has anything to do with this. I'm not sure if that would affect it at all. Okay, I can't remember if one of the other documents that I attached touched on that at all. So again, it's an important reason to read those other things that I sent. Sorry, this video is now a half an hour long. I'll try and move it along here. So again, under column 4 there, the 4th column there, the CERB amount is $2,000 per month. That's $500 per week. Taxes are not removed at source. So it just sounds like you'll get the $2,000. up to $2,000. But beware, you're going to have some taxes owing on that at the end of the year, right? Now, this one here is interesting because you kind of think you know I kind of feel like it would be beneficial for some people and not beneficial for other people, because if you were, say, for example, because it's up to $2,000, right? So if you were like a lower income person, salary or wage earner, and you were not earning that much, then I guess assumingly you could actually get your full salary, right? Because you can get up to $2,000. So if your wage, for example, was $1,000 a month, I'm taking that to assume that means you could still get your $1,000 a month under this. So that's pretty cool. But on the other hand, if you think about, if somebody was a high salary earner, um, they might actually get more if they just applied under regular EI benefits rather than this benefit. Because if they got 55% of their regular earnings up to a maximum of under regular benefits, let's say like $573 a week, that's more than this, right? So I think you kind of need to think a little bit about that if people are pondering that, okay? The duration of this is 16 weeks. Let's go to the next box down, the application process. So the portal to apply for the CERB will be available in early April. Okay, so everybody's panicking. They're asking me, how do I apply? How do I apply it? And it's not even been available yet, as far as I know. I think that comes available to maybe April 6th. I'm not sure. It's your responsibility to check. You're the one that has to apply. And again, this is where I was trying to tell you again. I'm pretty sure that they're going to ask you to apply for it. Oh, golly. There might be a couple of ways, actually. This one here, there might be a couple of ways. I think one of the ways you could do it is through your My Account. And again, that's why I've been trying to get people to register. Get registered for your My Account, because you don't know when it might be important to have. And if you don't set it up, and then there's an emergency and you're panicking and you don't have it, then there's no one to blame but ourselves if we don't register for something, and we should. So again, register for the My Account so that if you need to register for, then apply for something like this, you have it, okay? So it says, so the portal to apply will be available in April. I feel that there might be another way to apply for it, but I can't remember. In the meantime, persons who apply for EI, just regular EI, with a claim eligibility date of March 15th or later, and whose applications have not been processed, will not need to reapply for the CERB. Okay, so I would say if you've already gone out and you've already applied for sort of regular EI benefits, it doesn't sound like you're going to have to reapply. Somehow they'll connect the two and probably move you from regular over to this, okay? The next topic down, the employee must have, okay, here's some criteria. Now you'll notice these columns here is talking about employee eligibility, because this is about the individuals themselves as a person. Your employer's not applying for this for you. I'm not applying for this for you. This is you as an individual would be applying for this. And it's saying the employee must have received at least $5,000 of income in 2019 or in the 12 months before the application. So there's an eligibility criteria. You must have ceased working for at least 14 consecutive days or for reasons related to COVID. So again, this benefit is all about COVID, that you stop working because of COVID. You have no more income coming in from working because of COVID, okay? So example, sickness, quarantine, caregiving a family member due to COVID-19, and again, underline, they say right here, not receive any income during the benefit periods. Again, somebody's asked me about if they're receiving CPP or OAS. Some people take that earlier, or some people are still working if they're collecting that stuff. Oh gosh, this just says not receive any income. But, up here, it's talking about you're not working due to COVID. I'm kind of feeling like that should be connected and said we're not receiving any income from working. But again, I'm not sure actually. And this is something you just apply or phone them and to apply, and you will get your answer pretty darn quick whether getting an OAS or CPP, old age security or CPP benefits, whether that's going to stop you from qualifying for this. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't. The waiting period, none. Although the language of the legislation suggests otherwise, the information published by the government states that there is no waiting period if the individual is without income because of COVID. The pros and the cons at the bottom. It's broader eligibility than the EI, okay, because EI has a lot of stipulations. Oh, and this benefit too, this CERB benefit is available to self-employed people. So like I said before, normally self-employed people don't get EI benefits. They're not qualified for it. So this is a mechanism where a self-employed person could apply and get some kind of benefit because they would not qualify under regular EI benefits. Okay, and then let's see. So after the 16 weeks of this, the employee can collect EI if still out of work. Well, again, if you qualify for EI, so it sounds like if this is better for you to get, then you could get this one for the duration of this, and then after this is done, you could switch back and get your regular EI. The con is the employees cannot earn any income from, example, like from a second job or get EI benefits. It actually says right there, a con, employees cannot earn any other income. For example, EI or a second job. Boy, oh boy, again, it keeps raising that question to me. What about other things like, what if you have investments? What if you have an investment account and, what if you have an investment account and you earn dividend income? Is dividend income or something going to throw you offside? But again, these things here that they're talking about, it seems like it's work related. Gosh, again, I'm not completely sure the answer on that, but that's definitely something that needs to be figured out. And like I said, more details are still coming on this. Okay. The next column, column 5, is EI regular. It's just talking about applying for regular EI benefits. That's it. Plain and simple. I'm not even going to go through it. EI benefits is something that you apply for with Service Canada on your own. I don't do it. Your employer doesn't do it. Nobody does it for you. You as an individual, you apply for your EI benefits. Okay. The next one, EI sickness, COVID-16. Again, it's just talking about benefits. I think the benefits are the same here. But it's just talking about the fact that it's in direct relation to COVID-19. Sorry, not COVID-16, COVID-19. It's just talking about that. And I think that there's probably just a few expanded eligibility criteria that you could collect for it. I think so. Like for example, I think if where was it? Like self-isolation and quarantine, all that kind of stuff. That obviously it wouldn't be an issue with regular benefits. Okay, and then is there anything else on that? There is a waiting period for this one if you're applying under regular EI. It's 1 week, but can be waived after the application is filed. This one here, it's limited eligibility because it requires quarantine, self-isolation, illness, or injury because of COVID-19. Okay, but again, it's just similar to the regular EIs. It's just it's just because of the COVID stuff. Okay, so it's a bit more specific to that. And the last column on this lovely little chart that this law firm has prepared is it supplementary unemployment benefits. What is this? This is a plan tops up an employee's EI benefits during a period of unemployment. The employer contribution combined with the weekly EI benefit cannot exceed 95%. So this one here, again, I'm not even familiar with this, but it's something to do with an employer. Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know. I can't think of who this is going to be, who's going to do this, but it sounds like you'd have to register this. You register it with the government. It's a plan. You have to contribute to this. Well, again, my gosh, I mean, if you could contribute to wages, well, then why wouldn't you just be doing the first one, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy? I'm not completely sure, but I'm not going to even talk further about this one. It's just another plan. I don't know. Read down the page on that one and just sort of see if it's anything that applies to you. So, anyways, that is all. I'm sorry, this video actually went a lot longer than I was intending, but again, these topics seem to be so big on everybody's minds right now. There's so much confusion out there, and rightfully so, because we don't know all the details. I don't know the details. I just saw actually a colleague of mine the other day. He was on the news and he was talking, and it was funny because he was getting calls from people on the news, and people were asking questions, and gosh, so many of those questions he just couldn't answer. He couldn't give a definitive answer simply because the details are not available, and the government's still working on the plans. But again, I've expanded this discussion because I think that these are areas that are important, and because this actually is money in pockets, whether it's from the employee perspective or whether it's from an employer perspective. This is talking about money in people's pockets and actually true benefits, unlike some of the other stuff, which is just about, get a loan that is interest free or defer payments. I mean, you still got to pay. These things are actually talking about money in people's pockets. Okay. Let me see. Did I have anything else here? No. Okay. So again, everybody take some responsibility for this. I've given you the links to go to for the government websites and stuff. Follow it up. Go to that site. If there's still stuff you're wondering about, go look for the updates. I think I've said here numerous times that there's just not answers to everything. I think I've kind of mentioned some things that I've heard some people ask me about that I don't know the answer to. So go and try and find it out. Like I said, if I get answers to some of these questions that I have myself, I'm probably going to create another video and I'm going to post it. So please feel free to come back to this YouTube page that I created specifically for this stuff right now, just so that I could do these videos. And feel free to come back and see if there's another one. And if there's another video, watch it. And what I will do is in that video, I will tell you to email me if you want to know the written literature that I got to help me with that, okay? Because I don't think I can attach PDFs in YouTube, although I'm not that technologically savvy with this kind of stuff, but doing YouTube stuff, but I don't think I can attach documents right in there. So that's why I say you have to just watch the video, and right at the beginning of the video, I'll just tell you, email me, and I can email you the literature that I found or that I got to be able to make those further comments or get the answers to those other questions. Okay? So that is it. Again, seriously, take this PDF file, this law firm one, the 7 pages, cut it into pages and get rid of all the wasted space around each page and tape it together, and you're going to have these beautiful 7 columns all going down here talking about what it is, the amount, the duration, the application process, the employer eligibility, the employee eligibility, and then the pros and cons. It's a great little thing. Go get your tape, go get your scissors, and just do it. Your eyes will follow this a lot better than trying to scan through 7 pages of PDF. I know I couldn't. That was just irritating the heck out of me. I couldn't do it. So I like to see something like this where I can just scroll right down the entire document instead of flipping from page to page. So that is it. So again, sorry I couldn't give perfect definitive answers on absolutely everything. But hopefully this helped out a little bit. Hopefully it gave you some places where you could go. I've hopefully attached some articles there from other sources of information like the news, from another accounting firm, from this law firm, from the government site. I've tried highlighting some things in those documents to try and bring those things to your attention. And hopefully after going through my email here and spending this hour and 15 minutes of time invested, it's not that much time really, to be honest with you. Hopefully after spending this a little bit of time and investing this little bit of time, some things are a little clearer to you, or you at least now know where to go in order to try and follow up on some information or to get some answers if you're not sure. And as I always say, please, yes, feel free to call me. obviously, anybody, you can call me anytime they want, and I will try and help in whatever way I can. I might not know the answer, and I'll tell you I don't know the answer, but I will obviously try and help in whatever way I can. Or if you're just trying to, like, interpret something or whatever, then I can try and help again as much as I can. Okay, so hopefully this proved useful to you guys. Stay safe out there, and let's hope that this all comes to an end as soon as possible, and we can get on with life as we knew it before. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the weekend. Bye.